I like how he says that we're going to hear whatever is going on in the background and end up never hearing anything. Dudes, I will call myself out before any of you do, and I can hear that dog barking next door. Remember the time when Jaime's hair was actually dark, not gray? No, me neither. Dude, I know, I can't remember either. No wonder you don't know what day it is, Jaime. You post videos in the middle of the night. Hey, it's gotta be a video for everybody. I like watching this Geraldo Rivera YouTube videos. Alright, if I didn't know how bad Geraldo is, I wouldn't take offense for the comment. That's right, it's that time of the week. I'm Jaime Rivera, this is Pocket Now, and this is the Pocket Now Daily Recap, your comments for this week. So on Monday, the topic was the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 sans the Ultra. Apparently there won't be an Ultra variant. We talked about displays and everything, but I asked you, do you care about no Ultra happening for the Note or not? We had 461 comments. The Ultra is unnecessarily expensive. Dude, I totally agree. I wish that phone would deliver as much as it costs, but at a time when you can even grab the Huawei P30 Pro from last year and get comparable results, it's kind of hard to justify. It's good that Samsung decided to skip the Ultra version of the Note 20. They probably realized that no one would pay more than $1,400 for a phone. If only the Galaxy Z Flip didn't sell out, though I do assume that they didn't make as many, but sadly, there is a market of people that are willing to pay that much for a phone, so long as the novelty is there. The problem with the Ultra is, the promise is the camera, and the delivery is not necessarily the camera. No Ultra just means more money. They need to calm down with the high price tags already. I don't think it's just about the price tag. If you were told that you were getting this amazing camera on a phone, with the hump and with everything, I think it might be worth the money if they actually delivered on that. I was personally saving for the Note Fold, but I guess I will settle for the Note 20 Plus. Dude, if they ever launch a Note 20 Fold with a glass display and a Wacom digitizer with the S Pen, if they say $1,500, I'd be willing to pay for that. That would be the perfect form factor for me. Then on Tuesday, the topic was the Poco F2 Pro that just got announced. It's finally available, and it's actually priced very aggressively if you compare the iPhone SE price in Europe, because over there it costs pretty much the same amount or almost close to the Poco, though you get better specifications with the Poco phone. So I asked you, what did you think? We had 652 comments. OnePlus flagship killer. Poco, OnePlus killer. And after everything that's happened with the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro, I cannot agree with you more. Poco needs to bring this here to the US and work with phone carriers like what OnePlus has done. I think the US market is a really tough sell, mainly because it's mainly plagued with people that just want to buy iPhones because there are iPhones, whereas Poco is more focused on emerging markets. And I have to mention India, where people are really passionate about specifications and what they're paying for that. So I totally understand why the marketing strategy is to have it more in India and other countries in Europe than in the US. $499 is the sweet spot for a smartphone, so Poco F2 Pro is priced just right. I have to agree, again, we were all skeptical with the probable price tag, and we thought that Poco was just going to throw it out with the iPhone SE and its competition, but then, again, match the iPhone SE price outside the United States. Everywhere else, it's a lot more expensive, so the Poco F2 Pro makes a lot of sense. Great price considering the specs. I think it would sell really well, and definitely revisit the P30 Pro. I have put the P30 Pro on a charger. I really think it would be great to revisit it, and yes, I do agree about everything with the Poco F2 Pro. It's not what I would call an amazing phone from a design perspective, but guys, it doesn't really matter. It still delivers on everything for such a crazy price. Now on Wednesday, the topic was the Google Pixel 4a, as well, we've got some benchmarks, some tests being conducted. It performed really well, definitely not like the Pixel 4, but almost like the 3 XL, which, wow, I'm really impressed. I asked you, if you had to pick iPhone SE, Poco F2 Pro, or are you going to wait for the Pixel 4a? We had 790 comments. Though the iPhone has the A13, the design and the battery life is a deal breaker. I definitely go for Team Android. It's not about the design. I do have to agree about the battery life. I think that Apple was just a little too below with that. You've got the specs there, but what does that matter if you don't have the endurance to be able to enjoy the content consumption? So yeah, totally agree. Pixel 4a, those 6 GB of RAM and edge-to-edge screen. All right, that's what we see right now in videos. Thing about it is, Google has never really been known for edge-to-edge, so I'm gonna wait for that first. I'm personally getting tired of stock Android, Moto X4 AOE, so I'd pick the Poco F2, just something new. Well, the user experience is actually not that much different. I believe Apple is more useful when you have most of the devices in its ecosystem. I would never buy an affordable iPhone when I can't afford the rest of the devices on their ecosystem, Android all the way. Here's the thing. You don't need to buy the ecosystem. The phone lives on its own without it, but if you buy into the ecosystem, then it becomes an added value. So not going to agree with that, but still, again, that's the beauty of Android. You can live without it, you're just going to have to live only with it, and that's the problem. Then on Thursday, the conversation got even more interesting, particularly with the Pixel 4a, now that we have a probable price tag. Oh my god, can you imagine that phone costing $299? If that ever happens, that's going to be insane. We had 721 comments. Flagship makers are making flagship killers. Flagship killer makers are making flagships. In the case of Google, that's been a yes and no. In the Nexus time, with the exception of the Nexus 1 and the Nexus X, I hope you guys remember that. Yeah, those were flagships, but then the Nexus 4 pretty much and on was all about bringing an affordable flagship killer, which is how other companies spun off after that. So I think Google is just going back to its roots. That's how I labeled my review of the Pixel 3a, and that's going to be the case here if that happens. Google will only sell 10 phones if they don't do this. They'd probably just break even. You make a really good point. If the Pixel 4, with all of its radar and all of its things, is not selling well, Google really needs to be aggressive about the price, and they need to remember one key element that Amazon does. I also mentioned that in my review of the Pixel 3a. Amazon doesn't care about selling hardware, they're about selling services. That's also what Google does, so they need to stop thinking about making money off of hardware and using the hardware to be able to, again, sell better experiences with the services. I'd buy a 4a in a heartbeat, use it as a secondary, and maybe convince myself to get the next flagship. Well, here's the thing. The Pixel 3a was great. The Pixel 4 was, I'm using it. That's currently one of the devices that I'm using. It's awesome, but it's not significantly better than the 3a. So I think you're gonna be fine with the 4a. Pixel 4a, 128 gigabytes for $349. You kidding me? I'll buy it over anything. Exactly. That amount of storage, that amount of camera prowess, I don't care about anything else. That's literally what people are caring about. They care about the experience, not about the hardware in the end if they're only going to pay that amount of money. It makes it a no-brainer, like the times of the Nexus 7. I remember when Google announced that Nexus 7 and then they were like $200. It became the first ever impulsive buy that I have ever done in technology. They changed everything in tablets back then. They made iPads go down in price, and they need to make that level of disruption again. And finally, on Friday, oh my god, so the rumors are that because of everything that's happened with Huawei getting banned again in the United States, that China has decided to take its own repercussions in adding companies like Apple, Qualcomm, and others into their entities list. And so I asked you what you thought about that, and last time I checked, we had more than 1,000 comments. And it just keeps growing, and I love that the conversation keeps coming. I feel like it would be best if Apple moved operations to the United States. It's not like things weren't already expensive, and I think raising prices would mess up Apple's strategy for upcoming iPhones. Dude, I totally agree with your comment. I feel that there should be a balance, not too little, not too much. Not let's move all our production overseas because it does affect jobs in the country, not all of let's only produce in our country because, yes, in a case like the United States, production is just too expensive. A lot of things need to change, and I feel that we shouldn't have too much of anything. I would pay more for Apple devices if they were made in the United States. You know, I do see things the way you do, particularly in consuming what's made in my country. I'll give you an example. If I want to go to a coffee shop in my country, Honduras, most of the time, coffee shops in Honduras are more expensive than the multinational ones, but I would rather support my own and support, again, the people that are producing where I'm from. But again, that's my perspective. I get that that's your perspective, but that's not necessarily the perspective for other people. Some people just want a less expensive product. They're price sensitive, so I do understand that a balance needs to be found once again. If Apple moves operations or accepts the tax, either way, it will still affect us consumers. That is a very good point. And again, I feel that this is the reason why companies, every single company, not necessarily Apple, needs to find a good middle ground. I like that time when they were like, we'll build the Mac Pro in the United States and then some other productions outside. I think that was a good balance. I feel that probably Apple could have done a little more of that, but hey, shift iPhone production to India. And then there's the case where you have more options. If you're having issues in a country like China, why not move production to India? Why not move production back to Taiwan where it was originally? Options exist. I feel that there is no need to bring this on to US consumers or world consumers for that matter, but at the same time, I feel that Apple and pretty much every company should be a little more versatile about, hey, let's also support our communities in addition to not just selling them less expensive products. I feel that it can be a little bolder than that. That's it for the Pocket Now Daily Recap. Thank you so much for watching. If you want your comments to be featured, keep them short, stick to the point, and try to get some thumbs up. It helps us spot them a lot easier. Also, follow us on social media as our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me stay at home and try different areas to film this video. By the way, the green screen is over there. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, I guess.